Map is just a metaphor. What is the metaphor you're going to use to hook your steps onto? You don't have to have the steps created yet, but the metaphor, I want to know what is it and how many steps to your metaphor. Yeah, music off if you would, please. We're technically a little early. Is anybody here not here? Might be it looks like there's a couple that are still not here. We had a few people that have joined with us. So I'll just give you 5 minutes. So what is my metaphor and how many steps are there to it? Is your metaphor a map? Is it a butterfly? Is it a combination lock? What's your metaphor? Is it an infinity cycle? What's your metaphor? Is it a mountain, climbing a mountain? And at 2 o'clock, I'm going to come around and ask every one of you to tell me your metaphor and how many steps are there to it.
What if, like, you have like a chapter or theme, but then you have kind of sub-steps in there? Is that considered how many steps, or is it just kind of like the big
The whole book,
steps?
the big picture. We'll start in 3 minutes. What is your metaphor and how many steps are there to it?
What's the metaphor, Robert?
The metaphor is what is the image you're going to create a big picture. Is it a map? Would be like a map of going on a trip. So you start your trip and you finish your trip. What route do you take? That's a metaphor. But it's also, so when I call a map, I mean what is your metaphor? Are you going to use the metamorphosis of a butterfly? Is that your map? Turn the music off, please. Is it a tree with fruit on it, like 8 fruits you're going to pick? Is it steps up to the top of a staircase? Is it a house, foundation, walls, roof? What's your metaphor? Two more minutes. What's your metaphor? How many steps are there? Okay, welcome back to How to Write a Best-Selling Book with Robert Allen. I hope you had a nice lunch. Gave you an assignment to come up with your metaphor, a map that has certain steps in it. Why do I spend so much time focusing on this? Is to make your reader understand your concepts better. You're not just trying to write a book. You're trying to write a book that teaches the reader how to do what you tell them to do, how to understand it, how to grasp it. And so one of the fastest and easiest ways to do that is to create a roadmap. Now, a roadmap is what I call a metaphor. It's kind of a big picture, right brain thing that we use to have a person so they can remember what your book is. And then for you, if you remember it, if you have a metaphor for it, then you'll find it easier to create the steps to take the reader from step one to step finished. Not only step finished reading the book, but step finished meaning having done what you told them to do. The greatest compliment that an author gets is, I read your book. I loved your book. That's the last thing you want to hear. You want to hear, I read your book and I did it. You said I could have a better relationship. I have a better relationship. You said that I could lose some weight. I lost the weight. You said I could make $1 million. I made $1 million. In other words, whatever you say in the book needs to be translated into action. And most books don't do that. They teach concepts and ideas, but they don't teach how to get the person to do what you say they're going to do. So the metaphor is the beginning step of that, to make it so easy for them to remember that they go, oh, yeah, that's easy. I can do that. I can climb that mountain. I can drive that car. I can build that house, whatever your metaphor happens to be. So you're going to share with us now what you think you'd like to create your book around. What is the metaphor? And right at the very beginning of the book, a person is going to see a picture of the whole thing. It's the big picture. In fact, if they just saw the metaphor, saw the picture of the one page, they could read the entire book in one snapshot. And then your job is to now unpack that metaphor step by step by step so they get it done, right? So I'm just going to quickly come around. You're going to tell us what your metaphor is and how many steps there are. Now, this is not in stone, so you may change your metaphor by tomorrow. You can change the number of steps there are, but just as the beginning step, what is your metaphor and how many steps you think you'll be teaching in that metaphor? I'm going to pass the microphone quickly. All you have to do is just, what's the metaphor and how many steps? And we started you last time. We're going to start over here. Okay, Leo, it's your turn. Right? What's your metaphor and how many steps?
My metaphor is growing a garden, and there's 5 steps.
Growing a garden, and there are 5 steps. Very good.
My metaphor is hiking the 7 summits of the world, and there are 4 steps.
Excellent. Hiking the 7 summits of the world.
My metaphor is a mountain, and there's 5 steps to achieving, getting to a summit.
Excellent. 5 steps to climbing the mountain.
My metaphor is taking a seed, planting it, and growing into a tree that bears fruit and eating that fruit.
Excellent.
And
Excellent.
then 7 steps.
7 steps to growing that fruit, to that tree to becomes a fruit-bearing tree. Yes?
So my metaphor, excuse me, is like I guess like an Indiana Jones style like quest, and there are 3 big picture steps with steps within that. So I need to kind of figure out
Excellent.
how to hash those out.
An adventure. Yes?
Mine is an avalanche and a bridge to get you out of the avalanche.
Excellent. Okay. Had one of those once. Yeah, go ahead.
My metaphor is driving gears, park, reverse, neutral, drive.
Excellent.
4 steps.
4 steps. Very good.
Yeah, that's awesome. My metaphor is taking off in an airplane. It's 4 steps.
4 steps to taking off an airplane. Very good.
My metaphor is a combination lock with 7 steps.
Combination lock with 7 numbers. Very good.
Mine is a guy deep in a hole, and he has a ladder that he's climbing out to freedom, and it's 10 steps.
10 steps to climb the ladder to get to the getting out. Yes?
Yeah. Mine is also a map to freedom in 6 steps.
Excellent. A map to freedom in 6 steps. Yes?
Unlocking your ultimate life and the 7 areas of life. 7 steps.
So a lock?
Unlocking. Yes.
Unlocking. Very good. Thank you very much. A lock.
An eyeball.
An eyeball.
To see.
And how many steps?
7.
7 steps to the eyeball. Okay,
My
good.
metaphor is growing a seed into an oak tree, and I have 3 steps.
We didn't hear that. Would you say that one more time?
A seed into an oak tree.
A seed into an oak tree?
Yes.
Good. Excellent.
Mine is an inmate breaking out of jail with 5 steps.
Okay. And so we're looking for Avatar has to be in prison in order to buy the book. Okay. Okay. Good. Very good.
Okay, mine is climbing Mount Everest in 7 steps.
Very good.
A house divided into 6 rooms.
Yes.
And 4 steps.
Excellent.
Mine is a hexagon and 6 steps.
Excellent.
Mine is a giant, beautiful mountain with a nice curvy road, and there's 4 steps.
Excellent.
Mine is winning the Super Bowl in 5 steps.
Ha ha! Winning the Super Bowl in 5 steps. Okay, good.
4 steps to diving into Airbnb.
Diving into. Very good.
Mine is a car driving down the road, mile 1, mile 2, mile 3, 8 steps.
Excellent.
Mine is becoming a better you in 7 steps.
Where's the metaphor?
The metaphor is metamorphosis, like the butterfly transformation.
Is it a butterfly transformation that you're saying?
Yeah, metamorphosis.
Excellent. Metamorphosis. Very good. Very good. Okay, now these metaphors can change, but I would recommend that you have a metaphor that you use when you write your book, because it'll be easy for you to write. You literally can, once you know what the steps are, you can talk it, you can video it, you can do a Zoom call with somebody on it. It could be transcribed by somebody in India. They could take what you're teaching and create a book out of it, really. All right, so the stupid mistakes that we talked about in our morning session, here they are. Don't you make these mistakes, or you're going to be writing a book called The 12 Stupid Mistakes That I Made in order to become a bestseller, right? So I'm going to give you a checklist. The first checklist is what is your message? And we're going to go a little bit deeper into message right now. And there are checklists that you're going to check off every step of the way in order for you to create this book you want to create. So, as Covey would say, let's begin with the end in mind. So, good news, you got a book in you just waiting to come out. If somebody were to x-ray you, they'd see a book in there, right? Yeah, exactly. And you're an author. Let's see, you did do some writing of your book, right? All of you wrote this morning? Yes? So are you an author? Yes. Did you auth something today? Okay, today you only authed 1 sentence, but that sentence made you an author. Is that correct? Good. From now on, whenever you introduce yourself and somebody asks you, and what do you do? What's your answer? I'm an author. Or you could say something like I say, well, I generate multiple streams of income, but one of my favorite ones is to be an author. And they say, oh, what did you write? What book did you write? And then you get to test, every time you introduce yourself to somebody, what your title is. Test a new title every different time. And sometimes they'll go, oh, how could I get a copy of that? And other times they'll go, that's very interesting. And that's how they scale it 1 to 10 right in front of your face, right? Okay. So you are an author, so I'd like you to do what authors do. They sign their names to autographs, right? They autograph things. And you are going to autograph your name into thousands of books, yes? Yeah. And are you going to be really grumbly about it? Like, you want me to autograph another book? Okay. Or are you going to go, absolutely, because now it's autographed, they can't take it back to the bookstore. You got that royalty is locked in there, baby. And now your autograph becomes valuable, and we'll be doing an exercise about that later on. So you're imagining yourself. Where would you like to imagine yourself as an author? What would you imagine if you're a successful author? How would you imagine yourself, see yourself as a successful author? What do you imagine to prove in your mind that you are a best-selling author? Not just an author, but a best-selling author. What would you like to experience as a future best-selling author? What experience would you like to have? So that's why you want to virtualize that, meaning experience. What would you like to have? I can tell you when I knew I was a New York Times best-selling author, I'm standing in an elevator in San Francisco, getting ready to go on a radio show, going up the elevator to get to this radio show, and my agent, who's with me, tells me that he just got a call from New York, and my book is going to be on the New York Times bestseller list next Sunday. And I remember, I'll never forget that moment, never. And it was a very goosebumpy time, right? So what kind of memory would you like to create of you as a best-selling author? I'll let you ponder that. It just becomes part of envisioning and then experiencing what that's like. And all of you are going to have that experience. Maybe not exactly the way you envision it, but I want all of you to be bestsellers. Are you ready to do that? You want to be a bestseller? So how will they prove it? How will they prove that you're a bestseller? Many people will say they're best-selling authors, but nobody ever questions them. Like, how do I know you're a best-selling author? And most people don't have proof. They just say it. But you're going to have proof. You're going to literally show them you hit the best-selling list. Whether it's Amazon, or whether it's Barnes & Noble, whether it's New York Times, whatever, you got to have proof that shows it. But you literally, if you said you're a best-selling author, most likely they will never question your words. They'll just assume. And so you could say, listen, I've understood that if you sell 10,000 copies, you're a best-selling author. Okay, good. That's one metric. But I want you to imagine the time when that's going to happen. Poor people have big TVs, rich people have big libraries. And you are now going to fill people's libraries with your books, right? So I don't know, how many books do you have in your library? Are you a book kind of person? Or you go into the bookstore and buy books regularly? Well, you're the kind of person we're looking for. Now, some people these days don't read a lot of books. The average person doesn't read a book after high school. Not a single book after high school. And yet, we are all addicted to reading books. Would you say that's true? Are you addicted to reading books? You walk in a bookstore, somebody tells you that they read a good book, and you immediately go, maybe right on the spot, and Amazon it right there on the spot and buy it? Well, that's who you're looking for. You're looking for a person like that. So your book cover will represent 75% of the success of your book. The way it looks and the way the title looks is a big chunk of it. So your title that you wrote down before we had lunch, you wrote down a title.
It sucked.
Yeah, it sucked. That's right, it sucked. So this afternoon, you're going to do it again. You're going to draw your title, and we're going to put all the titles up on a board over here in a few minutes, and you're going to vote on the title, and the winning title is going to be, I'm going to put a smile on their face, all right? So you have to be thinking about what is my title going to be? How am I going to change it based upon what we've already learned, right? Your name, your title. So these are a lot of the titles that I have been involved in. And these are titles that are parodies. A parody is, the one book is 1,000 Places to Go Before You Die. This is 1,000 Places to See Before You Die. This was a parody. This book, I'm trying to teach you how powerful a title is. How many books on travel had been published before this book came out? Now, this book is like 10 years old. There were thousands of books on travel, thousands. And when this book came out, what happened to all those other books? Just like went out the window. People just stopped buying them. This was a colossally big title about a subject that we've been reading about for decades. So your title can do that. Your title can take an ordinary subject and say it in such a different way that everybody wants it. Like Nothing Down put all my competitors out of business. All the books that have been written about real estate, gone. Nobody was buying them anymore because Nothing Down just replaced them because it was revolutionary. This is another way of taking off that on title. Some places to pee before you die. Now, I don't know how many copies this has sold. I really don't know. But it's probably going to be found in different kinds of bookstores. It'll be found in, drugstores and things like that. It's kind of a novelty item. This one is Chicken Soup for the Soul. This has sold 500 million copies since it came out in 1992. This is the parody. Chicken Poop for the Soul, stories to harden the heart and dampen the spirit. So, who knows, maybe this is your title, right? There's a gold mine that what you have in you of what you've already created, all the things you've already learned in life. There's a gold mine of knowledge in there, and we gotta mine it. You got your passions, you got your talents, your experience, your story, your skills, your knowledge, your expertise, your message. All of those represent the stuff that's already inside you that we're going to dig out of you and put it into a book. Some people think their story is the most important part, and they put too much emphasis on their story. In my opinion, your story, it's very rare that a story, only a story, can become a best-selling book. There's one example where it did work, and it broke the rule, and it was called A Boy Called It. Have you ever heard of that book before? So this is a person's biography, autobiography of how this child was raised as kind of like a nothing and beaten and whatever else. And he went around the United States, all around the world, teaching people his story. And his story became the reason that you bought the book. Let's read about this kid and how bad his life was. But it's extremely rare that an ordinary person will write a book about their story and somebody will want to buy a copy of it. So you're going to combine all of these things of who you are into a message where a person will say, if I read this book, it's going to make my life better. It's not, if I read this book, then I'm going to learn more about Henry. You know, it's most of the time, it's just doesn't work that way. So, what is your low-hanging fruit? If you're a beginning author, the fastest way to become a bestseller is to pick something that's your low-hanging fruit. I mean, stuff that is second nature to you, something you find really easy to do, that you could do. If I said to you right now, I got a group of people that need to learn your subject. Can you teach them? They're right now, they're in the next room. Could you teach it? Go. What would you teach, like right now? That's your low-hanging fruit. It's the stuff where your expertise is really easier for you. It's effortless for you. If you have to dig it out, if you have to kind of go research it, then it's not low-hanging fruit. And so I think it's easier to write a book when it's your low-hanging fruit because it's easy for you to remember it, to think about it. It's a skill of yours, right? So when you go to Amazon, where are they going to find your book? You put in their books in Amazon. Just give you an idea of how many books there are on all the subjects that are on Amazon right now. Point to the niche, to the category where your book will be found. And notice the competition you got going on for you there. Take your finger and point to where your book would be found right now. Okay, how about sports and outdoors? 222,000 copies. Travel, 342,702. And yet, out of 342,702 books, 1,000 places to see before you die is going to be in the top 10 every time. Every time. Now, the lady who wrote that book told her friends that she was going to write this book, and they told her it was too negative. They actually encouraged her not to do that title. And she followed her intuition. And as they say, the rest is history, you know? So where you are now, what is your category? What niche are you going to find yourself in? So here are these categories on the left-hand side. Books on art and photography, and biographies and memoirs, business and money, calendars, etc., all the way down to the bottom where it says travel. You're going to be in one of those categories. And when you go a little deeper, let's take self-help, for example. This is where your book is going to be found under self-help, how to change your life. That's where you'll be found, right? And what's your niche in self-help? In other words, there's a bunch of niches there. So what's your niche going to be? Here are some self-help books, and it'll tell you when you go to self-help where they are, what's the top 20 books in that category, in that niche, right? So personal transformation. See self-help has like 30 different categories and niches, and we're going to pick one, personal transformation, and then it'll tell you how many best-selling books are in that niche. And your goal is to be in your niche, to be number one in your niche. Then if it gets a major book, it'll start rising, and it'll go into the top 100 books in all of Amazon. I've been on that list of the top 100 books in all of Amazon. That's where we eventually want to go. So what do you want your message? What do you want to say? We've kind of covered a little bit about that this morning, but if you could say your message in one sentence, what would you want to say? Now, you've come up with a title and a subtitle, but that's not your message. Your message is a broader, so the key ingredients of a message would be, okay, what is your knowledge, your skill, the information you gathered, what is your story, and mix that in there. What are your passions? What are your hobbies? What are your interests? I want you to come up with one sentence that describes the message that you want to share with the world. It doesn't have to be your book title. So, my book, Nothing Down. What am I trying to teach there? How to buy real estate with little or no money down. It happens to be in the title, right? Multiple streams of income. The subtitle was How to Generate a Lifetime of Unlimited Wealth. That's basically what I'm trying to teach. How to generate residual income from your investments. How to make money while you sleep is what multiple streams of income is all about. How to generate wealth while you sleep. That's not in the title, but that's my message, right? So each of you is going to have some expertise that you possess. Some of you already decided what you want to write your book about, but remember, this won't be your only book. You'll be writing many books in your lifetime. So you could write a book about any expertise that you have. Hopefully your expertise leads into a funnel. It leads into a way you can create a business around it. So when you think about the expertise you have, what are you really good at? What's your piece of cake? A piece of cake is something you do without even thinking about it. Maybe because you've always been talented in that area. Maybe because you gained experience in that area. Maybe that's because it was part of your story. What's your piece of cake? That's your low-hanging fruit. See the metaphors I'm using there? A piece of cake is just what's so easy for you to do that people will say to you, how do you do that? Man, I wish I knew how to do that like you know how to do that. It seems like it's just like effortless for you. You're trying to teach a person in your book how to do what is effortless for you. It may have taken you years to learn it, but you're trying to make it simpler so that a beginning person can pick up your piece of cake and eat it right away. They know how to do it. And most people have a hard time doing that. They'll do their piece of cake, but they can't teach it. They're just not good at teaching. It's not important to them to teach. They just like to do. And for you as an author, it's important for them to do. It's important for them to learn how to do what you do, right? So if you could market in the next 24 hours something that would generate $1,000, if your life depended on it, what would you be teaching? It kind of lets you know if by tomorrow you had to make $1,000 from selling your information that you already possess, what would you sell? If your life depended, I said we find ourselves at 225 now. If by tomorrow at 225 you don't bring me $1,000 in cash that you earn from a total stranger by selling your information, then your life is over. Not only do you not hand in your 1,000, but you can hand in your life. It's done. What would you sell? And how would you sell it? And who would you sell it to? This kind of forces you to realize that there are some things that I'm pretty good at selling, that pretty good at knowing, and if I had to go out in the world and sell $1,000 worth of information, I could do it. I gave that challenge to a class once. I said, by tomorrow night, you need to make $1,000 selling information. And she didn't have time to write a book. She didn't have time to write a special report. She had to go from the class to the very next day, $1,000 richer. She was a painter, and she couldn't paint a painting and sell it in 24 hours. I said, Linda, you're selling the wrong thing. Don't sell paintings. Sell information on how to paint. She said, I never thought of it that way. I said, you need to raise $1,000. Who are you going to talk to? She said, well, I'll have to go to my database, which happens to be her 150 friends that she was emailing. And I said, you're going to have to create something that you cannot yet deliver, but that someone will pay you $1,000 for your knowledge. And so she wrote an email saying, I have only one space available to teach a class, a 16-lesson class, online. I'll be in one city, you'll be another, and I'll teach you how to paint like I paint, and it's only $1,000. I only have one space. If you're interested, email me immediately because it's going to go. And she sent that email the next morning, and by that afternoon, somebody said, I want that one spot. I want to learn how to paint. And she took what was a piece of cake for her, which was how to paint, and now had to translate it into, this is how you can paint, and I'll show you how. So that's the information business, right? So every one of you has thought about what your message would be. Have you written it down yet? Have you written down what your message is yet? Did I just give you time to do that now? You have 60 seconds. What's your message?
So I can feel your arms around me. Wait till the music turns to romance. Go tell that DJ that he owes me.
Okay. This is a message you'd like to share with the world, right? So, in a moment, I'm going to have you stand without reading what your message is. I don't want it read. I want you just to speak it. And essentially, when it comes to the book I think we're creating together, this is going to be the bottom line of it. You know, this is not something that's going to be on the cover, but essentially when you're writing, this is what you're trying to say. This is my message. This is what the universe wants me to say to this specific group of audience at this specific time. This is my message, right? So I'm going to have you stand. You only have less than 30 seconds to do it. You'll stand, say your name, and say, this is my message, and then sit down. Okay? All right, we'll start right here.
Yes, let's do that.
Let's
start right here.
Okay, stand. What's your name and what's your message?
You know, the truth is, what you've just already taught me in like a few hours has my message all over the damn place. I share sentiment. Well, because the low-hanging fruit, I never thought about.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, this didn't help me at all.
All right, you're up now.
Yeah, now we're on.
So your message is all over the damn place.
It is. So I just wrote something else down. The low-hanging fruit, the thing I'm super passionate about and really good at without having to think about is teaching training. And then it just kind of occurred to me, like, why am I not writing a book on, you know, helping somebody share their voice, right? And that's kind of been the last like 45 seconds. And then I was certain you were going to go back over there. And I'm like, okay, I was like, I've got at least 7 minutes before this gets to me.
Sorry. Okay, your message is?
That's right. It is. Awesome. And it's going to be great.
What is your message again, please?
Oh, you didn't hear it the first time. Weird. Okay. So my name's Jarrett Ingram, and my message is that we all have a voice and that we all have a perspective that ought to be shared. And I can help you do that.
Is that better the third time? Yes. Did you see the difference in that? That was goosebump time.
So after the overwhelming response to my title, I've scrapped everything. And my name is Keith Baker. My message is I want to show you how to put the power of the banking system into your retirement accounts.
How to put the power of the banking system into your retirement account. Thank you.
My name's John, and my message is recover your business and save your sanity.
Answer it. Thank you very much. Very good.
I'm Henry, and my message is to teach people to build wealth and achieve freedom using money they probably already have.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Cowboy Wisdom.
I'm Cowboy Joe. You are a perfectly unique and limitless being with a mission that you were created to fulfill.
Thank you. Now, just before we go on from Cowboy here, you see how generic that message was? Like every human being has a specific message. But if he said that in a title, nobody would buy it. And yet, if you have the right title, they would buy it and they would get your message. So your message is not how you say it. Your message is what you say. How you say it is the marketing part. There's messaging and then there's marketing. And the messaging usually doesn't resonate very well as a general speech, but you need to know what you're trying to accomplish. Okay, good. Stand and give us your message.
Hello, I'm Rebecca. Capturing the love and remaining at the forefront of the wave.
Okay, all right, that's your message. Capturing the love and remaining at the forefront of the wave. Okay, very good.
My name is Victoria, and my message is, if you can imagine it, then you can be it.
If you can imagine it, then you can what it?
Become it.
You can become it. Very good. Name?
My name's Chris Merriman, and my message for this book is how to get off Airbnb's platform, make your own bookings autonomously on your platform.
Excellent. Thank you.
My message is you can succeed as a teen without experience or resources.
You can succeed as a teen without experience or resources. Very good.
My name is Gene. Discover how 4 single-family homes can set you free financially.
Excellent. Thank you very much. What's your message?
Yeah, my name's TJ, and my message is how to create a successful, measurable, and sustainable real estate business in 6 simple steps.
Very good. Thank you. That's your message.
My name is Robert Vasquez, and my message is how you can think yourself into $1 million.
Excellent. Thank you.
My name is Stratton Brown. You can do what you want when you want.
Excellent.
My name is Noah Hoffman, and I will teach you how to turn your lower-end economy rental properties into massive cash-flowing Airbnbs to traveling workers.
Excellent. Thank you. What's your message?
My name is Vincent Lons. My message is you can be successful if you set goals and take action.
And what was
And
that?
take action.
And take action. See, that's a very generic message. You can become successful if you set goals and take action. Now, how he says that is the marketing part. How I get them to buy into that so you can teach them that is what we're talking about. Yes, Ann. That's right.
My name is Ann Lanza, and my message is finding success by making God your CEO.
Ooh. Well, where was that in the first title, yeah?
We're changing now.
Finding success by making God into your CEO. Very good. All right, Leo.
Hello.
Valentino.
Leo Valentino. So my message is that the younger generation can come together to change the world if we take advantage of the digital age to network collectively, use our time to be financially free and time free very early, so our time could be used towards impact and influence towards the other young generation. Keep going from there.
There you go. So you can see it's a longer message. It's not a title, but it's what he wants to teach. He wants to teach young people how to take advantage of their youth. Yeah.
My name's Alan Schnurr. I believe we all have dreams, and I believe we should all live our dreams.
Excellent.
My name is Rafik Moore, and my message is I can teach you how to attract millions of dollars of other people's money by becoming best version of yourself.
Ooh, personal growth turns into money. Yes.
My name is Corey Vanderpool, and my message is that the power that your home can produce through electricity, you can own it instead of renting it, like millions of Americans have done since they've been powering their homes.
Excellent.
Through solar power.
Thank you.
My name is Michael. In 2020, according to the U.S. Census, 52% of young adults still live with their parents. It's the highest number since the Great Depression. So my message is how to help parents equip their kids with the knowledge they need to move out and have their own life.
Get the hell out. There's your title. Get the hell out of here.
My message is that anyone can start their first Airbnb within 30 days to add 4 figures per month to your income.
Oh, okay, good. What's your message?
My name's Dana Biberston. My message is by understanding your history and her story, you will be able to create your best story.
Nice. Okay. What are you trying to say? If you could boil it all down, what were you born to teach? That's your message. And you'll have many messages in your lifetime. Each book will be a separate slice of your message. Bring the slides back up, please. So, the message is one checkbox, what you want to do on your writing of your book. How can I make my book deliver the message that I'm trying to deliver? So, example of unique messaging. Now, you're going to take that message that you shared with me, which was fairly generic, and you got to uniquify it. So Nothing Down was a unique message. There was thousands of books written on real estate, but the unique twist was, hey, how you can buy it if you don't have any money. And that still works today, right? This blueprint is the book I'm going to be giving all of you is called Idea to Income. And this is my metaphor. It's the infinity sign. And there are 8 steps to it. Step number 1, what is your intellectual property? We talk about real estate property, but your intellectual property has value. So what is it? What's your low-hanging fruit, and how can we make it valuable somehow? What is your map? In other words, what's the metaphor you're using to teach, in this case, if you want unlimited or infinity of income, these are the steps you're going to take. Number 3, what is your unique brand? How do we make you unique so that you stand apart? And then how do you create and turn that into some kind of information product? Now, one of the information products is a book. But there are many other things you could slice that information into. This book is called Idea to Income. So the book is just one slice of this book. But those are the messaging parts, see? How do I get my message right so that the world will resonate with it? And then I'm going to go market it. I'm going to figure out how do I broadcast my message so that it reaches the world? How do I make it so that people want to resonate to it? Number 6, how do I get their name? How do I get them to opt in to me so I get their contact information? 7, what is the sequence I can take a person through? And there's a lot of sequences that don't work. If you're doing online marketing, you realize that it depends on the sequence of how things are done, whether people will give you their money or not. So getting that sequence right, and then finally, how can I do JVs with my information where they do all the work and I provide the information? I take their database. They have a 10,000 name database. Why don't we market together? And you all understand JVs, so you're going to be doing lots of JVs because their database is already formed. The metaphor I use about database is it's a lake filled with fish, and you've stocked your lake with fish, and they are your fish, and they belong to you. And you've grown the fish to where anytime you want to go fishing, you just throw a line in. But somebody else comes to you and they say, "Can I fish in your lake?" And you say, "Well, depends on what your bait is. Their bait is their information." And they'll say, "I'll tell you what, if we put your bait into my lake, and you catch any fish, we split the take. You take half the fish, I take half the fish. If I let you do that in my lake, then you're going to let me do that in your lake, because you've got a lake filled with fish, and if I drop my bait into your lake, if we make any catch from that, then we split the catch." And so ultimately, as an information marketer, JVs are big. They're big time because there's other people's databases. And then every time anybody buys or even responds, they become part of your database. And the goal is to build a database, right? And the person with the biggest database wins. And how big is your database? So that's the metaphor that I use then I'm going to give you a copy of this book. And we are going to read it not as learning how to make money selling information. You're going to read it totally differently. You're going to read it as if it is a way to gather a database. And when you read it, you're going to go, this is how Robert wrote a book to elicit the fact that he wants to show that he can work with somebody to coach them, right? So this is how you build a database. And so I want you to read it with different mindset, with a marketing mindset, right? So a lot of ways you can get your message out there, and we are going to be doing books primarily as a result of this class, but there's just lots of written ways to get your message out there. And there are a lot of spoken ways to get your message out there. And as I told you, I started in my information business with a seminar right here in Provo, Utah. Then I wrote a book about it, then because my seminars were doing so well, it made it into a #1 New York Times bestseller. So they're going to be kind of symbiotic. You're going to create multiple ways of selling your information that generate lots of sales to your book, right? A lot of visual ways. And your message is going to be spread across all these different platforms, right? But bottom lines, you have to discover your message. What were you born to teach? For my beginning message was real estate investing, how to do it with little or no money down. Then you have to create your messaging. That means a way to say your message in such a way that out of 20 books on the same subject, your book is the one they would always buy. Why? Because somehow or other your unique messaging has been unique enough that they want you over everybody else. And then finally, how do you monetize it? How do you turn your book into multiple streams of income? And so you've all had a chance to speak outside what your message is. You've done that already. So who do you want to speak it to? You all are in business, various forms of business, and you have customers, right? As you look at all the customers you've ever had in your business, the people who would most likely buy your book and use it, what was what type of person did you attract where they just were the ideal customer? There's a book called Attracting Perfect Customers that's been out about 20 years now. I really like it. Attracting Perfect Customers. So one of the examples in this book, the two gals who wrote it said, bring all your customers into your office. Does that matter? Your office is really big and you could bring them all into your office. And there they are, the thousands of them, and you're talking to them. And you identify who would be the most perfect customer because of the kind of things that they had done. How they had treated you as a business owner, how quickly they paid their bills, how they talked to other people about it and brought customers to you. I mean, what would make them a perfect customer? And they ask us to identify what the characteristics of a perfect customer would be. So let's take the perfect reader of your book. Who would be the perfect reader? The most ideal reader you can possibly imagine. Give me some characteristics of the perfect reader of your book. Person that what? Person who buys your book. Yeah, well, they bought it. I didn't have to give it to them. So number one, they took a credit card out and they bought it. Okay, good. That's a good. What's another characteristic? Yes? They posted their experience with it on social media, so they broadcast your message for you. You didn't have to spend money on Facebook ads. Yes, what else?
Somebody who feels stuck.
Say that again?
Like somebody who's feeling stuck.
Who feels they are stuck? Yeah, they have a problem that you know your book can solve. Or they have a passion that you know your book can satisfy. So yeah, they are ideal because they need your book. What else? Yes?
For me, the perfect reader is knowing that they're going to actually do what they're reading.
Yeah. They don't just read it, or they don't just buy it to put it on a shelf, or they don't buy it just to read the first chapter. They actually finish the whole darn thing. Yeah, what else is another ideal? Yeah? They want to start a business? Yeah, and so they're going to take your information and they're going to start a business with it? Good. What else? Give me another one. Yes, Ann? They find your book so transformative that they tell their friends about it and tell them to buy it. You've got to read this book. You've got to go buy this book. So if you had 10,000 people who were doing that every day, that would be kind of fun, wouldn't it? So eventually, as you start selling your book, you're going to have some ideal customers like that. And you need to kind of identify who are they? Why do I seem to attract this person into my funnel? And what the authors of this book, Attracting Perfect Customers, recommend is that you let everybody else go. Literally, all the people who are buying the books, you're basically saying, if you're not going to use them, I don't want you. I want to attract only my perfect customers. And I want to identify who they are so I know how to attract them. And by doing this example, what it does is it forces you to decide, as you're writing the book, this is who you want to read it. This is your avatar. This is the person you hope to have. Are they male or are they female in terms of ideal? Are they rich or are they poor? Are they fat or are they thin? You know, they live in a city or they live in a country. Where are they? What's the ideal person who reads your book? What is the name of that person? I want to get even that specific. What is her name? What is his name? As you get more specific, then, when you're writing the book, that person will come through your writing. It's almost as if you're like talking to that person. And when they read it, they're going to feel understood. They're going to go, this is speaking to me, because you've found your ideal customer. Now, an ideal customer is not just somebody who does what you tell them to do, but they do it the way you want to deliver it. So there's a store called the 4-Day Tire Store. Have you ever heard of that store before? It's like, if you want tires, you have to buy them Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because we're closed on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. What they're saying is our ideal customer will get our product the way we want to deliver it. And it's just backwards from the normal marketing. Normal marketing is, what do you want? I'll deliver it the way you want it. What you're basically saying is, I'm busy. I can only deliver it on certain kinds of time frames. I probably won't respond to you on social media. That's just not what I do. But if you want to reach me, this is how you reach me. This is where you reach me. This is the narrow niche that you'll reach me at, and your ideal customer likes the way you want to deliver it. And when you identify and create your avatar, I want you to actually imagine it in that sense. They may never see you, or they might. There might be a seminar you go to. There might be a Zoominar that you do with them. How would your ideal customer ideally interact with you in a way that you are willing to do it? Some of you want nothing to do with your readers. It's too much trouble. Others of you would like to have them all of them to email you, because you like to have that kind of interaction. What is the ideal way that you will deliver your best stuff to your ideal customer so it fits with your life? If you do it any other way, then it turns out that you are always showing up when they want you to show up, and you've got a life. So if you want to create money while you sleep, make sure that your ideal customer is okay with the way and the time at which you deliver it. That make sense? That's an avatar. That's your ideal customer. And the more specific you get, even down to naming who that person is, would make your writing more relevant to that reader. So when you order from a mail order catalog, do you call up and say to the mail order catalog, you know, I saw something in the magazine, and there's so many things in that. There's all these good things in the catalog. It's just hard to decide. So why don't you just send me something you think I might like? Is that the way the catalog works? Catalog, the operator is going to say, no, what page is the picture of the product you want? So they get you to tell you what page it's on. They get to tell you what size you're going to buy. They get to tell you what color you want, and they get to tell you whether you want it speedy delivery, which is more money, or regular mail, which is maybe free. In other words, they want to know specifically exactly what you're ordering. I want your thinking about your ideal reader to be specific like that. Do they have a problem that I can solve? Do they have the money to buy it? Do they have friends, enough friends around them that if it works for them, they're going to talk to everybody about it? How many of those customers like that do you need for you to have a #1 bestseller and to have it every time you write a book? How many do you need? Well, you've all read the article online, 1,000 customers. You have 1,000 ideal customers, you're rich beyond your wildest dreams. 1,000 really, really, really good customers who are ideal. That means they buy, they talk, they share, they post, all that thing. You need 1,000 super fans. Now, it may take you 5 years to cull your list to where you get to the 1,000 people who do whatever you tell them to do. I have fans like that. They will buy anything I sell, and they never ask for the price. If I want to push the button, I know that my super fans will buy. There are not a whole lot of them, not 1,000. I'm still building on that 1,000 list, but I know that some people will just go wherever I'm at. They'll go to my seminars, they'll pay for whatever it happens to be. This is the kind of reader you want, because if those 1,000 readers are really super fans, the next time you want a #1 bestseller, they will deliver it to you. So that's why you have to take care of them as you grow, right? Do you send something you think I might like? No, item number, size, color, shipping, etc. I want you to order up an ideal reader in the same way. What does that reader look like? That's your avatar, okay? Because even the worst message sent to the right people will do better than the most brilliant message sent to the wrong people. And therefore, your goal is, who are the right people? And even if I do a bad job of talking to my ideal person, they'll still buy because they're ideal. But it doesn't matter how brilliant you are to the wrong message. It just doesn't work. You're going to resonate with certain people who read your book. They're going to resonate like a tuning fork. And anybody that's tuned to that note will resonate with it. And if they're not tuned to that note, they won't resonate. And this is a hard part as a beginning author, when you realize that you're going to put your message out and some people will not resonate with it. Actually, some people will be repelled by it. They'll hate it. And for a long time, since I like people to like me, I didn't like the fact that a lot of people didn't like every word that came out of my mouth. And I was upset when people would get upset, until I finally had to realize those were not the people that I was sent to. Those are not my avatars. So in my speaking career, when I would speak to an audience of 500 people, I'd look out of the audience, and wanting to be a pleaser, so I please everybody, I would notice the frowny faces and the ones that were skeptical. And I would spend time talking to them. And it took me 25 years to learn that lesson. They were not sent to me. Those are not my avatars. They stumbled in the room. I don't know how they got there. Maybe their spouse brought them, and they didn't want to be there, and there's nothing I could do to ever convince them. It was impossible to convince them, and I was trying to convince them. And when I finally learned the lesson to finally only focus on the smiley faces, they were resonating with what I was saying. So I focus on them because they were the ones that were sent there. And they go, I came here I don't know why I'm here. There's a message I need you to tell me. And they resonated with it. And then when they resonated, people around them, even the skeptical ones, opened up. But I couldn't convince them. They could only convince them. So what I'm trying to teach you is not be worried when somebody doesn't like your book. And don't be worried when somebody gives you a 1-star review. You're going to get some 1-star reviews. Some people just don't like people. And they go online just to see their name and to see what it looks like to have a 1-star. And you want to wring their neck, but they're just negative people. And their life doesn't work and they want to make it your fault. And sorry, that's going to happen. If they're not a smiley face, they're a frowny face, forget them and move on, right? So, what problems are they trying to solve? What passions are they trying to satisfy? This is your avatar. The reason we're spending a little more time on that is because most people, they don't really think it through. Like, who am I talking to? They just, let's see, I got a book I got to write, and then they write the book, and they hope it resonates. I need you to step back just a little bit, right? So in your checklist, first you get your message, then you figure out who your avatar is, then you go into, okay, now how do I convert my message into a title and a subtitle that will resonate? And this is the marketing part, right? So, hold on a second, turn off your screen there for a second. Yeah, here we go. So, thank you. Bring that up. So remember, the title is so important that you need to spend time on it, and you need to do some testing on it. And how do you test? Well, if you have a database, obviously there will be many of those people on the database will be resonating with you. That's how they got on your database. So if you bounce a title off of them, more than likely that would be an ideal person to bounce it off. So you would send them an email and you would say, hi, I'm coming up with a brand new book. Would you help me? Would you help me discover what the title is? I'm going to give you 7 possible titles and subtitles. I want you to vote for 2 of them or 3 of them, you know. I want do multiple votes because sometimes it's hard to make that final decision. And then send it back to me. And those of you who respond to this email, when the book comes out, I'll give you a special extra gift for helping me come up with the title. Like using Ziff's law, I said earlier, you're going to come up with, say, 7 or 10 titles. One of them is going to be twice as good as number 2. Generally speaking, that's the way it works. And you might be shocked about the title that they select. So you'll give that as a winning title, and then you go create a second survey, and you put that title in it, but not in the same place it was in. If it was at number 1 or the last one, you put it in a different place in the list of the brand new titles. And you ask your readers, do you have a title that you might recommend for me? You just never can tell when they've got your winning title for you. And if I happen to use your winning title, I'd be happy to include you in one of the seminars I'm teaching about it or give them some kind of gift. So using a database is the way I usually do it because it's my database, it's my avatars. But going online, can you test a title on Google, on Facebook? Now, Chris is going to talk about that tomorrow. He has a way of doing online testing with social media, and Chris is amazing. Chris records 2 YouTubes a week. Today is Monday, today, in the studio around the corner from here. He has the cameras are all set up, and he shot 2 YouTube videos, usually on a Monday. Did he do it today?
He's out of town today.
He does it
every Monday.
every Monday except when he's out of town. So he does, and now he also shoots 4 other podcasts. And he shoots them in one sitting. So he'll shoot a 45-minute YouTube session, And then with a totally different title, he'll shoot another 45-minute session. And he does it on a Monday morning usually, and then he shoots some short little versions, of short little podcasts. Okay? His team then takes all that content and cuts it into 100 different snippets from all 6 of those shots that he just did. 100 different snippets. And broadcasts it into the 7 social media channels. So in one day, he has shot enough content so his team will cut that into 700 pieces of content broadcast over social media. And when they do testing on which titles respond well, he can put it out there and know almost immediately which title is going to work better than other titles. So I'm going to leave that for him to talk about on tomorrow. But he's a master at it. As obviously there are ways to do this, which is not my expertise. That's why I want him to talk about it. But online, you can test titles. I know some buddies of mine who will test 20, 30, 50 titles until they finally get to 1 or 2 that are always respond at high levels. And it costs them a couple $100 to do all that testing. I'll let Chris talk about that for you tomorrow. Because you have to ask yourself the question, if the title is so important, how am I going to test it? How am I going to get feedback from the world? The world lets me know which title I should choose. And up to this point, it's been a crapshoot. A person comes up with a title like you guys did today. And was there any title here that really was a killer title out of the 25 of you? There were a couple that resonated pretty good, weren't there? And then the rest of them were, And guess what? Of the 2 million books that get published this year, almost all of them will be just what you guys did today. You're going to come up with a title you think is good, and it'll suck 2 million times. 2 million times. Right? So testing is really important. And I am giving you the example of a person who didn't test a couple of times, and it was not a good thing, right? So your cover, this is what a cover looks like on a hardcover book. It has the title and The 1 Minute Millionaire, the Enlightened Way to Wealth. It's got a little, I don't think this, no it doesn't. It's got a little starburst here on the top, New York Times bestseller. And there's our titles here. There's a little description on this flap. In the back, there are some quotes from famous people so that it's part of the marketing. You need to have some people who will put their name on your book. And then there's some bullet points. There's a picture of both of us. That's a cover. That's 75% of the success of your book. Right? Cash in a flash. Fast money in slow times. Same kind of thing. This one is butterfly. This one here is a hummingbird. What does your title look like? Well, the title of your book we're going to create right now. I'm going to give you a place for you to create a cover for your book in the next hour. You're going to come up with the title of the book and the subtitle and your name and a little burst. What do you want to put into that burst? And at the very top, you're going to put a quote from a famous person. And you're going to make it up. Make up whomever you want as the quote. Remember, this isn't public, so you can't actually do this. But today, I want you to imagine that a person you would like to see on the cover of your book that would help the sale of the cover of your book, you are going to create the quote using the words you want their mouth to say. And your simple book cover kind of looks like that, right? So, what makes your information revolutionary? This is a word I want you to think about when you think about the title of your book. Revolutionary. That means, what does revolutionary mean? It means to revolt against the ordinary way of doing things. It's for them, you want your book, what's the quote? What's the quote from Disney? You want to do what you do so well that when people see what you do, they will bring their friends. They'll come again and they'll bring their friends. Another quote is from Dave Chappelle. It goes something like this. You want to be the kind of expert where everything before you is obsolete and everything after you bears your mark. Now, I know exactly what that means because everything before my book, Nothing Down, was obsolete. It was revolutionary. It meant they had to buy my stuff over anybody else's. Everything before you is obsolete, and everything after you bears your mark. Now, for me, I listen to all kinds of experts talking. Do you know how many times I hear the words multiple streams of income? They're on everybody's lips. It's just the concept, multiple streams of income. I hear it from people who have never heard of me before, multiple streams of income. And yet I popularized that phrase. I recognize it, pulled it out of nothing, made a best-selling book out of a result of it, and now everything after bears my mark, even though I'm not even there, right? So what I want your concept is I want you to be thinking about, how do I make everything before me obsolete? So when we're talking back to you, I hope you don't mind me pointing you out about your sucky title, How to Change Your Life. So everything before you about how to change your life, all the books that have ever been written about that subject, you have to make them obsolete. I mean, you can't be like them. When you say change your life, that means you're all like them. That means when they go to the bookstore, they're going to decide whether they want this one or that one, and you are just a part of the competition. Your goal is to be so far beyond everybody else, there is no competition. And that is extremely difficult. I know I can say it off the top of my lips. I say, this is what you want, and I want you to know I've succeeded at sometimes I succeed, sometimes I don't. But it's the ultimate goal where everything before you is obsolete and everything after you bears your mark. So when you get ready to create your title here, you're going to draw it out. I'm going to ask you, as you're thinking about your title, what would make the way I say it revolutionary? So the person would go, I got to get that book. Now, most of us will not succeed at that today. That's almost an impossible task for you to come up with that in an hour. But what I'm going to have you do is ponder what your title and your subtitle would be, and then you're going to draw it out, and we're going to post them all on the wall over here. So this is what this is your book cover. You're going to draw this on this piece of paper. You're going to use these crayons, these Crayolas, markers, to draw your book title. And we know that your art skills may not be the best, so just give it the best you got. Remember, it's the title, not necessarily the way it looks here today. I want you to spend, I tell you what, I'm going to give you about 30 minutes, maybe a little bit longer. First of all, you're going to brainstorm what your title is, and then you're going to either use it, you can draw it right on your table, you can go over to that table, you can come here on the stage, you can go on the floor, wherever you want. But starting from now, you have, I'll give you 45 minutes. I need to have the best title and subtitle right here for everybody to see, all right? So the time has started. Come get your piece of paper. Come get some crayons. Whatever color turns you on. There's some more. Yeah, you bet. Okay, it's 3:15. It's 3:15 right now. You can hit the restroom if you want to, but we'll start again at 4 o'clock.